Hey, what's up? It's Joe. Welcome to Freestyle Fridays. So, changed the name of the show because apparently I can't keep things under 5 minutes for 5 Minute Friday. So, I decided to change the name after several people kept wondering, why do you go over the 5 minute title of your show? And I'm like, I don't know, because I have a lot of things to talk about, right? So, anyway, this is the new name, Freestyle Fridays. So this gives me the opportunity to talk for like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 50 minutes, whatever, right? So I would say just expect monologues galore. Hopefully you like them. Maybe you don't. Don't really care either way, but you're here. So let's kick it. Freestyle Fridays. So I gave a guest lecture at Carnegie Mellon earlier this week. Shout out to the Carnegie Mellon crew, Mattia and Sam and so forth, and Tad for having me out there. Great group of people, great students, great to meet all the bright minds, the graduate school there. So I gave a talk about, data careers, the field of data. It was sort of a very wide-ranging Q&A and talk. Gosh, covered all kinds of stuff. One thing that stood out was because of this trepidation I see, especially with new graduates coming into the workforce in 2024 or 2025, where, the job market when they started, maybe say 2022-ish, back then it was kind of getting the beginnings of a lot of the layoffs happening in the tech industry. 2023 and even 2024, you're seeing lots of layoffs still. I think in 2024 alone, there's been hundreds of thousands of layoffs in the tech sector. And the fact of the matter is, finding jobs just isn't what it used to be, right? I think the last 10, 15 years have been great, minus the downturn recently. 2020 and 2021, job market was gangbusters, right? Especially in tech, it just seemed like there's no end to it. I would even hear very prominent VCs say there's no end to this cycle. It'll just keep going. Right, and then the Fed raised rates, and things change, and here we are. Right, tech sector unemployment is still relatively decent, but you dig under the hood, right, and it's a bit of a different story. Anecdotally, I get the impression that the interview market is tough. If you haven't passed an interview, there's a lot of screenings going on, right? Even applying for a job, right? It's like you're going to be one of many people shotgunning, probably thousands of resumes out to companies, hoping you hear back from any of them. That's the reality of it. And if you're a new graduate, you're competing against, plenty of senior level people who have also been laid off. And yeah, it's a very competitive job market right now. Companies have their pick of candidates. There's no shortage of candidates. So just, the fact that you graduate with a degree, even from a prestigious college, I don't think guarantees that you're going to be finding work anytime soon, right? So, I think I'm going to maybe have a series of career advice to my younger self sort of talks. But this is probably the biggest piece of advice, I would say. Well, there's obviously a few big pieces of advice, but a very big one is your network is your net worth. I think that was Zig Ziglar who said that. But I thought it was corny when I heard it at the time. Like your network is your net worth, and it's just this nice platitude that kind of rolls off the tongue. It's seems corny, but it's true. It is 100% true. And let me dive into this, right? So you can imagine right now that applying for jobs is sort of like being in the line, trying to get a ticket to a popular show, maybe a nightclub, something like that, right? But the door person's also very selective about who they let in. And probably 1 or 10% of people are going to be let in through this door, hypothetically. Now you can imagine standing in line. It's a gamble. There's opportunity costs. And you may find out you don't even like the venue or the event once you get in, right? And that's sort of like getting the job. You may find out you don't actually want to work there anyway. I've seen this happen people get the dream job, quote unquote, and they work there and they realize it's probably not what they expected. But let's get back to, you're applying for it, right? Are there other ways you can get into this venue? And maybe find out if it's right for you before you even get in. I would argue that you should spend a lot of time, trying to build your network of people at the companies that you want to work at. Get to know these people, get to know what it's like to work there. And if it sounds good and there's an opening, maybe, if you have a good rapport with these people, they could, kind of fast track you to get an interview and away you go. For a lot of my friends, this is how they get their jobs. They're not out there applying, right? Especially as you get more senior, you're not applying for jobs typically. You're getting referred through your network. And if you're starting out, I would urge you to start building your network now so you can have this kind of access. So how do you do that, right? There's a couple angles. In person, if you happen to be in a community where there are meetups or user groups or things of that nature where people meet regularly to talk about technologies or practices like data science or data engineering or programming in Go or software architecture or whatever. Start attending these meetups. Get to know the people in the community. Get to know, just people on a personal basis, right? Don't be transactional though. I would urge you, please don't go there with your resume and expect people are going to help you with finding a job. That's not how this works. If you do that, I can guarantee you you'll be remembered, and the chance of people helping you is going to be very low, right? Nobody wants to be treated like they're just a transaction to help you get what you want. The question people will always have in the back of their minds is, what's in it for me, right? And the what's in it for me part isn't necessarily a transaction. It could be the sense of feeling good about helping other people get to where they need to go, but you're going to do that for your friends or people that you have a relationship with. You're not going to blindly do that for strangers because, one, you're not going to bank your reputation on somebody you don't know, right? So I've been at events. Most recently, the one that I remember, I was in Australia, in Perth, and we were at an after party for the Data Eng Bites, and this guy is just walking around handing out his resume to people. And I was like, dude, this isn't going to work, right? So people caught on very quickly to what was going on, and they just avoided this guy, like they were going to catch the cold from him or something. And then this is absolutely the right thing to do. You can't step into these situations with a resume, ask people to help you find work. That's a non-starter, If I see that, I'm just going to tell you, thank you. I wish you the best of luck, but I can't help you. This isn't my job. It's not my career. It's your career, and you need to figure out angles that are going to benefit your career, right? So again, back to the big line at the venue example, you could choose to, be one of the thousands or tens of thousands of people applying for a job. You're not going to get noticed, especially if you're junior. You have no advantage over somebody who's very senior to you. They have experience. They can communicate really well. They probably have a network. And so that's the one thing where you want to make sure like you have some sort of an edge. And how do you get that? Meet people, build your network at the companies that you're interested in. They can tell you all about what it's like to work there. You can see if it's a fit. If it is, great. If not, it saved you a bunch of time. So that's maybe the first thing I'd recommend is just get out in your community, get to know people, pay it forward, speak at these meetups, get your name out there, right? There's nothing like being a presenter at a meetup. People will see that, okay, this person's motivated to put together a presentation. I can evaluate their speaking ability by how well they can present, right? That's awesome. That shortcuts a lot of stuff. Now you're known, right? Your biggest enemy when you're starting out is obscurity. And the only way you get less obscure is people know you. That's as simple as that. So I remember one person, this is interesting. Like they were at a meetup this summer in Salt Lake, and this person had been at the same company for 20, 25 years or something like that. So built up a lot of institutional knowledge at that company and built up a good network of people at that company. But this person confided to me that they were concerned that, as this company may have been bought by a private equity firm, that, nobody would be sacred, right? PE firms are notorious for coming in and gutting all sorts of levels of people, especially the ones who have been around for a long time, because they tend to be more expensive. Never mind the fact as they decide that maybe this person has institutional knowledge that could be valuable to this company, but that's besides the point. Nowadays, hiring, firing, and retention is very Darwinian. And it's kind of like the Hunger Games almost, where you just have no idea who's going to be around, right? Even very profitable companies, big tech companies are having record profits. They're laying people off. So nobody's immune, right? But so this person with the 25 years of experience, they were like, I need to go build my network outside of my workplace. And I was like, you're doing absolutely the right thing. But you have to be consistent. You have to show up all the time. If you just show up once, nobody's going to remember you. You got to keep it going. And so that's the first thing I would say is just become part of your community, right? It costs nothing, maybe except for gas to get there. And, you can even get fed there. So that's not a big deal. But, that's one way to build your network, is just get out in your community, be a part of it, help out, participate in your community. Another piece of advice is social media, right? So you have LinkedIn, you got, X, Blue Sky, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But become part of the conversation, right? Again, same rules apply. Become part of the conversation. Don't just message people asking if they can help you find a job. If you do that to me, I'm going to, promptly ignore you and probably remove you as a connection because I just don't have time for that. But you can comment on people's posts. You can add your own insights and so forth. And that's another way to get known, right? I think there's a lot of people I've met on social media who had been commenting on, posts and been part of a discussion, and you get to meet them in person at some point or on a video call, and they end up being great people, and you develop, friendship, like a genuine friendship. I'd say I met a lot of people this way, right? And now we're good friends. We text each other all the time and so forth. But again, this is another way to build your network of people. And so I would say just, be consistent with just getting out there, the days of like hiding, behind your desk, if you're out, if you're at a company and just hoping that people are going to recognize you and give you a promotion and all that stuff. Those days are long gone. Those days are long. It's up to you to take charge of your career and your visibility. Obscurity is your number one enemy. And it's sad that I see, junior level people, just getting started out, think they can get by just because they went to a nice school. Not going to happen. Nobody cares. It certainly gets you in the door, but there's a lot of other people just like you, all in the same boat, looking for work. And if you're a senior person thinking you're going to get ahead just because you worked at a company for a long time and, your coworkers, can vouch for you, that's great. Except, if a layoff happens, they're all looking for work too. Everyone's looking out for number one, which is themselves. People might help you, but you got to take charge of your network and build that up. Again, I mean, it's crazy how many people I see, mid-career, late career, get laid off, make a change from the company, and they're starting from scratch. They know nobody. And that sucks. That's demoralizing. They're out there they're doing the typical stuff that the juniors are doing. They're sending out applications to every company out there, right? They hear back from nobody because nobody knows who you are. That's the difference. Sorry, my dog wants to play fetch with me. Sorry, in just a bit. But that's that's the reality of it. It's like nobody's going to take charge of your network like you can. Nobody cares. The fact is, nobody cares about your career, right? Except for you. That's the harsh truth. Nobody's going to care. If you're not putting in the time to build your network and to get to know people, when push comes to shove, why should I care that you're in a situation? You can definitely get sympathy, but at the same time, it's like you had all this time to build a network, to get out to know people, and be a part of your community, be a part of the conversation. You did nothing about it, right? But now you're expecting everybody to come to your rescue. So it sounds harsh. That's tough love, and that's the truth. It's a damn truth. I see it time and time again. So, number one thing is, I wouldn't say number one, but, your reputation also precedes you, which I'll probably talk about in a rant. So I'm probably going to do these Freestyle Fridays actually more than Friday because, maybe it'll be like whacked out Wednesdays or something like that, or too much caffeine Tuesdays or something. But the point is, there's a lot to talk about, a lot of ground to cover, especially now that I don't have Monday morning data chat anymore. I'm going to be expanding the podcast and just the mediums I'm on. But anyway, so I'll be probably giving a lot more career advice. I get hit up by a lot of people asking my advice on careers, and it's kind of funny because I haven't applied for a job for ages. I haven't held a job for since 2017 at least. So, you think of like the last guy you'd want advice from, but people ask for it and people seem to listen to it. So here we are. So I'm going to give you more of what you're asking for. So in addition to just my thoughts on the general data industry, I think, one way I can pay it forward is just giving, advice on what I would do, in a situation, where I needed to look for work, or maybe, even career advice to my younger self. That's something I've been thinking a lot about too, especially as my kids are getting older, is just what kind of advice, should they be following, especially in a day where, there's, potential for AI to sort of change the nature of work, and, just a lot of other factors out there right now. But it's, as far as I can tell, the job market is, it seems to be rebounding, at least in the U.S. to some degree. It definitely doesn't seem like we're back to where we were. I guess we'll see under the new administration what happens with business. But that remains to be seen. And a lot of that's outside of your control, right? So, in a nutshell, the way I answer questions is, what can I control, right? I'm not going to sit there and wonder what Biden or Trump's going to do for me. I'm going to wonder what I can do for myself and what I can do for my family. That's how I answer these questions. I don't think in terms of hypotheticals, like, what happens, just in general, right? I mean, AI, it's going to do what it's going to do. But what you can control are things that you can control, and the things that I don't think are going to go away, like the need for a good network, a good, healthy network, that's always going to be there. I see no situation where, being obscure, nobody knows who you are, nobody cares. I see no situation where that's going to benefit you, ever. If you can think of one, let me know. But I don't. So you focus on the immutables. You focus on the things that don't change, regardless of the economy, regardless of the technology changes. Right? Technology changes always happen. The economy goes through ups and downs. Right? This is the fact of life that you're going to learn as you get older. Is things go up, they go down. But the thing you can control is how you respond to the environment. I remember Wayne Marino. He was the CFO and Chief Operating Officer at Under Armour, but he's telling me, and he spoke at one of my companies once. We got to talk afterward, and he was saying at Under Armour, this is back in the day, but they had this saying, no loser talk. So no loser talk means you don't blame the economy, you don't blame the external environment, because everyone else is playing in the same field. What you can control is what you can control, and that means you focus on how you can play the best game given the environment you're in, right? So I always took away, that's a key piece of advice, right? So the thing you can control is always building your network of people, right? Getting out of that fog of obscurity where nobody knows who you are. You can control that, and you should always be working on it. There's not a time when you take your foot off the gas on this, right? Because it's easy to get complacent, and pretty soon you got to start all over. And so I would say my advice is just make sure, you're getting out there in your community, social media, whatever, just make sure people know who you are. It's a big first step. That's going to separate you alone from every other faceless candidate out there who's, again, trying to apply for 1,000 different jobs and never hearing back from anybody. If you're going to put the time in to find work and also keep your work, make sure people know who you are, right? So anyway, there'll be more career advice segments coming out throughout the winter. I guess we're in winter now almost. Certainly feels like it. I'm in Salt Lake and it's snowing. And I think we'll just continue with this kind of a free floating format. We got lots of awesome guests coming up on the podcast as well. Things coming up, probably transitioning to YouTube as well, in addition to the current podcasting platforms. So just expect a lot more content, especially video from me coming out early next year and ongoing basis. But yeah, let me see. Shout out to Data Galaxy as well. I was in New York City, Wednesday and Thursday. I gave a talk at their event, so it was great to see everybody there. I think we're going to do a few more events throughout the next year. So that's dope. Next week, I'm going to be in the Netherlands, speaking in Eindhoven. I think, what is that? Thursday, I think it is. Let me see my calendar here. That would be, I think, the 21st it is. So if you're in Eindhoven, come hit me up. Then on Monday, I'm in Paris speaking at the Forward Data Conference. And the week after that, I'm not sure if I'm going to reInvent or not. I may or may not go. I don't know. If you're going to be there, hit me up. If not, maybe we'll just find something else to do. And then I think that's it for the rest of the year. I just have some other commitments I need to address. So we'll be back in the mix officially in the conference circuit, at least. What would that be? January, right? It's going to be doing an event with Matillion virtually, I think on the 23rd, and the week after that a couple days later, Day to Day Texas, the 25th. So if you happen to be at Day to Day Texas, let's go hang out. Let's go get a beer. Austin's a fun town. So anyway, otherwise just going to be wrapping up the book, about halfway through it. Just going to use time to just knock the rest of it out. It'll be out around sometime in Q1, hopefully. Anyway, long-winded Freestyle Fridays. Hope you like this. If you like this format, let me know. If you don't like it, let me know. Just let me know. Tell me your thoughts on this. And please like and subscribe to the Joe Reese Show on your podcast platform of choice. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.